When we think of rom-coms, we usually have a pretty clear archetype in our heads. There's a guy, usually a little bit on the dorky side and introverted, who hopelessly pursues a conventionally attractive woman that we would consider way out of his league. We laugh at the male protagonist's idiosyncrasies as he bumbles along and slips up when trying to seduce this woman of interest. Eventually, there is an unexpectedly heartfelt pouring out of emotions that wins the woman over despite the many red flags of the protagonist, and the audience absolutely swoons over the triumphant story of yet another underdog male protagonist getting what he desires in the end. However, rom-coms don't have to function this way. While holding on to some of the sentimental trademarks of the genre, romantic comedies can bend and shift the boundaries of the form to create something both familiar and completely fresh at the same time. This is a feat accomplished by the anime Revolutionary Girl Utena's accompanying film, The Adolescence of Utena. By the very nature of the film being animated, several creative liberties are available that wouldn't otherwise be possible in live-action rom-coms, such as incredibly elaborate and extraterrestrial sets. But Revolutionary Girl Utena doesn't just divert from the norm in terms of its unique use of the animated form. Just as importantly, the film breaks conventions of narrative structure through its...
Are you surprised? It's a big mistake to think you're the only one who can turn into a car. I'm a car now, too.
Very confusing and ambiguous story. While most romantic comedies guide the filmgoer through a very straightforward and linear experience, Revolutionary Girl Utena veers away from this hand-holding and creates a layered, atmospheric experience that prioritizes spectacle over understandability. The film is not simply one that might require a second viewing to get, but rather one that can completely evade comprehension. As a result of this, the viewer is forced to surrender to the sheer extravagance and absurd ride of the film, putting aside the ego and the urge to make sense. But above all else, Revolutionary Girl Utena breaks the norms of gender and sexuality typically associated with romantic comedies. As mentioned before, the prototypical rom-com protagonist is almost always depicted as an awkwardly charming, against all odds, heterosexual male. By having fluidity of both gender and sexuality of the protagonist, the film not only offers a fresh take on a familiar genre, but also offers more holistic and much-needed representation within it. And this representation does not stand as a solitary gesture. While the film's meaning is ambiguous and difficult to fully unpack, the main protagonist and love interest, Utena and Anthy respectively, are queer individuals venturing to escape a traditional, rigid, and constricting Otori academy that actively works to discourage and disallow their participation in society. The main journey of the film thus shifts from the traditional pursuit of a lover to the joint escape of both Utena and Anthy. Within this journey, identities are fluid and shift depending on the situation and the current attitudes of each character. This direct action once again shatters the trite patterns of male activism and female passivity usually seen within the rom-com. Alongside this, the film demonstrates its revolution as an act carried out by the couple as a unit rather than just Utena alone.
Let's go, Utena, to the outside world.
The traditional rom-com features an individual pursuit, and Revolutionary Girl Utena fights against this norm. Although I've only briefly checked out the original animated television series, it even breaks down heteronormativity in accompanying characters, while giving far more context to the story of Utena. So while its animation and stylistic choices defy filmic norms of the genre, Revolutionary Girl Utena's opposition to the gendered, heteronormative framework of romantic comedy is what truly distinguishes this work as a unique, groundbreaking film. When I consider some of the recent boundary-pushing rom-coms, such as Booksmart and Bottoms, I will now think of the seeds laid by Revolutionary Girl Utena.